Open up, picked off, and it's coming back. DeLuca, touchdown!
So the narrative around Penn State all season, and really the last few years, is that they can't win big games. Well, now they finally had one against SMU in the playoffs, and they absolutely dominated. And it's crazy how fast the narrative flipped to, well, SMU was not a big game, when that is not the case at all. I'll admit, sometimes I can be the quickest one to criticize James Franklin and the way he utilizes his talent, but they dominated in all aspects. The crowd made things impossible for Spencer Jennings, the offense pounded the rock, Drew Allar made the necessary throws when he had to, and the defense was lights out. I know the Nittany Lions still have a lot to prove. I'm not all of a sudden saying they're a team that everyone is scared of, but realistically, they do have all the tools to make a championship run. Obviously, a lot still has to happen. Drew Allar has to play perfect football, Singleton has to be electric, the offensive line has to continue to dominate against the more talented teams, and the defense has a running back coming to town by the name of Ashton Jeanty, and this is going to be a pissed off version of Jeanty who felt like he should have won the Heisman. The defense is going to have a ton on their plate in trying to stop him, but if they do, then they will win the game, and I think Allar is going to have one of his best games of the season. Obviously, he was pretty solid against Oregon, but in Phoenix, neutral site, indoors, round 2 of the playoffs, he's more settled in. Boise State isn't known for defense. This will be his breakout game, unless it's one of those games he doesn't need to dominate where Nick Singleton is getting whatever he wants, whenever he wants. But yeah, I want to talk about what Penn State has to do to beat Boise State, and beyond that, what they got to do to really have a chance to make a deep run. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so first, let's go back and talk about the big win over SMU. I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of felt bad for Jennings. It was one of those games where he made some early mistakes and just got so rattled. He was messing with a different beast, and every drive he just got more and more frustrated to the point where he lost emotional control and was not playing with any poise. Just for the sake of him and his draft stock, I was hoping he would get pulled earlier than he did. But as many commentators have said, just because he laid an egg does not discredit everything he and SMU did this season, especially in that Clemson game. The comeback was very impressive, but yeah, not SMU's day, and major credit to Penn State's defense and the environment the fans created. It was cold, it was a grinded out type of game, and everyone knew it, and the Nittany Lions executed their game plan perfectly. Looking at some of the stats from this game, Drew Allar was 13 of 22 with 127 yards. I know those numbers may look underwhelming, but again, it was cold, and it was the type of game that you knew was going to be won at the line of scrimmage. And Nick Singleton and Allen took over in the backfield. Singleton had 90 yards and a touchdown, and Katron Allen had 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. So of course combined, those two had 160 and 3, about as dominant as you can be, especially on that stage. Drew Allar has had an interesting season to say the least. I thought it took a while for James Franklin to get him going within the offense, but they both have finally started to get in a groove. I still think James Franklin makes some boneheaded decisions every now and then, but Drew really has shown why he's going to be a first round pick. He just has that freakish ability to make plays and throws off his back foot with no momentum, on time, and on target. That one throw with the defender pulling his jersey against Oregon was ridiculous. Obviously, Allar hasn't been perfect. He's made his mistakes, he's made bad throws, but there are moments where he will make a play that makes your jaw drop. And he really just gives you flashes of Josh Allen. And that is why when he announced his return to Penn State, it immediately drew in some transfers. He's going to be the face of quarterbacks next year, and I think talented receivers are seeing that they could be a number 1 or number 2 guy, and they are flying over there. I think next season is going to be super exciting. But nobody is worried about that. Everyone is focused on the task at hand, and that is Boise State. Obviously, Boise State has the location advantage with this game being in Phoenix, but I still expect for Penn State fans to travel well, and they have a way bigger fan base, so it will still feel like a minor home game for them. I think this is going to be a tougher game than what people are saying. I know I said that against SMU and was completely wrong, but Boise State is more reliant on the run game than passing. They can pass, but I think they are going to get in a rhythm through running the ball, as opposed to how Jennings threw 2 pick sixes early on. They're going to try to keep the score within 1 possession, and they're going to go for the kill late. But same goes for Penn State. If Nick Singleton can break off a couple of big gains, and then the passing lanes open up and Drew Allar makes his throws on target, the Nittany Lions could cruise through this game. And I think they are going to rally behind James Franklin, because they've heard the outside noise of what people have said about him and how he can't win big games. Again, I know he does make some bad in-game decisions and adjustments, but he still has built this program and got them to the point where they consistently are a top 10 team in the country. And there will not be a better chance than right now to finally make the playoff push everyone has been waiting for them to make. I know Boise State is still not considered one of those top tier teams everyone is waiting to see them beat. They still need to beat in Ohio State or in Oregon to break through the narrative, but getting to the Final Four is pretty much automatically a successful season, no matter what the path was. But back to the game that it was against SMU, the SMU offense all season was known for being relentless and just not going away. Penn State was the first defense all season long that was really able to rattle them and put them all out of sorts. Shout out to Kobe King for leading the team in tackles, and then Dominic DeLuca had 2 interceptions and Tony Rojas had 1. Everyone knew coming into the playoffs that Penn State had to win the turnover battle to be in a good position to win, and we saw that come to fruition. Ashton Jeanty is really good at taking care of the ball. He was nearly perfect in the regular season, but Boise State will come into this game not having played football for 3 weeks. There may be a bit of rust, and if there is, the Penn State defense has got to take advantage of it early, because we saw what one early turnover turned into for SMU. The game spiraled out of control. I think Boise State is going to show a little bit more poise, especially with the game being played at a neutral site, but I think the first few possessions will decide what type of game it's going to be. If they get in the Broncos' heads early, it will be a blowout. If not, it will be a grinded out game that could come down to field position, and if Jeanty is able to break one loose through what is a very talented front seven. And even beyond Boise State, if Penn State does want to beat the top dogs, it's got to be Allar that does it. And that one bad throw he made that basically resulted in a pick 6 is what allowed the Ducks to get a comfortable lead. If he didn't make that throw, I think Penn State would have had a real shot to win. So it all comes down to offensive execution. Obviously the secondary will have to find a way to be better if they do play Oregon again. Tez Johnson's speed exploited them. But really outside of that, as long as James Franklin doesn't make any brain dead play calls, the Nittany Lions really do have all the tools they need to win the whole thing. Here's what some of the players and media had to say.
You know, we have the 2nd largest stadium in college football, 4th largest stadium in the world, and 99% of the stadium was filled up with our fans, and it made a huge difference. A lot of the other games had some built-in advantages in terms of the distance between the two teams. So the fact that we filled that thing up with 106,000 fans, predominantly all of ours, is significant.
Yeah, for me personally, it was a football decision, and that's how I always have been operating. Me and my family had extensive talks about it and everything, weighed everything. And personally, I came to the conclusion myself that I felt like it's best for my future.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.